All right, in this Lunch and Learn webinar recap, we'll be going over tax prep, getting your yearly figures from HomeGauge. I'll share the highlights. So first, we'll start with where to find your HomeGauge receipts for software, services, maybe you bought a website with us last year, or website hosting. This is where you'll find that information for your expense reporting needs. So in your HomeGauge dashboard, you'll go to Account Settings, and then Licenses and Services. I'm in a fake account, so some of my numbers are not super accurate. I'll click on Manage Payment Methods and Services. You'll have this little window here, and what you'll do is you'll just click on Billing History, and just shows you your history of all the payments that you've made and your receipts. You can download all the receipts really easily by just clicking download. You'll see mine are all the total of 0 because this is an example account that I use, but you can do load more. So a lot of my stuff is not very accurate because I don't really pay for this fake account. But you would have real figures, and you can click download and get all those for your expenses. So that was pretty easy. That's the first thing kind of to knock off the list. All right, so the next thing that we'll cover, we're going to go to revenue reporting. So this is a quick and pretty easy report to get, and it will list all of your inspections in a spreadsheet for you. So if you're wanting to get a little bit more detailed and do your own kind of self-auditing, or if you have somebody doing that kind of thing for you, they can look at all the addresses and the fees all listed in a spreadsheet. Okay, so we'll go to Business Insights, and then we'll go to By Inspections. This is the one that does have the ability to translate to a spreadsheet. Then we'll go to Appointments by Month, by Inspector. And then right here where it says Date Range, I'll just click into Date Range, and I'll choose last year. And then I'll click Generate Report. I just typically ignore all this stuff. I mean, if you feel like looking at it, that's great. So what I'll do is I'll go down here to the bottom, and you'll click Download Appointment List CSV. You'll see it's downloaded here up at the top. So you should be able to go to your downloads folder and access that. And if I open that up in Excel, I'll just kind of show you a few things about the spreadsheet. It's a lot more than the graph that you see up here. So I don't have a lot of appointments because this is a fake account, but you'll see lots of columns, and you don't really need many of them. So if you're not familiar with Excel, I'll just show you a few things that I do to clean this up to make it a little bit more user-friendly for either if I was going through and just double checking everything, or if I had to provide this to an accountant or an admin person. So I'll just highlight certain rows just to clean it up, like the time. We don't really need that. I'll right click, I'll hit delete. I find the first line of the address, second line necessary, sometimes the second line. And then the rest, I'm just gonna highlight all this, and I am just removing all these columns. You can keep them and you can hide them, or you can just delete them. Basically dragging and highlighting address line 2 through all the way up to where it says invoice right here. And I can right click and I can select delete if I'd like. Or if I want to keep that for whatever reason, I can always do hide. So I'm going to do delete because I don't really find the need for it. There's other things here too. So you've got, Inspector 1, Inspector 2. Lots of information over to the right that you don't really need for taxes, which would be a bunch of customer fields. But I'm just highlighting all the rows to the right, and I'm just going to go to delete. So now I have this nice kind of clean spreadsheet that basically just has the ID, which I don't really need that either. So it has the report ID. I find that is very useful because the report ID in HomeGauge, when you book an appointment, if you use our system, which generates it for you, is the date and the first line of the address. And I find that to be very handy. I've got address line 1, just so it's easy to cross-reference everything. Of course, you could keep the customer's name on there if you wanted. And then I've got the invoice total, and I can go like this. It doesn't total it at the bottom for you, but it's super easy. If you don't know how to total a column, you can just put your cursor at the end there. And the quick way to do it is go to formulas up here at the top. And you can just select this auto sum, and it will basically put a formula in that will total the whole column. And you just click enter. And there you go, you got your total. Once you're done doing all that, if you want to save your changes so you can send it to somebody, you can go to save or save as, and then that way I can send it to somebody. You can also open this up in Google Sheets as well if you need to do that. So that's the first kind of like basic report. The next thing I'll show you as well, if you just want some kind of just a quick number, you can always go to My Reports here and go to Payment Status. Under Payment Status, go to Custom Range. For whatever reason, there's not a year-long option here, so you just go to Custom Range and add in your 1/1/23 to 12/31/23. And then you'll just hit Apply. Once you hit Apply, you also have to click Filter Invoices, and that will give you all of your payments. It will also show unpaid invoices as well. So that's like another way to kind of check. Of course, having a fake account, I put a lot of invoices through, but I don't really actually go and accept them as much. So you would have normal figures here. Mine are definitely skewed. This does not go into a CSV file, so that's kind of the unfortunate thing. But if you need to cross-reference, just double check everything. There's also one more report under revenue here. So Business Insights revenue per month. And you can choose the last year and then select your payment date and generate your report. And this will give you a quick total as well. It doesn't include as a comprehensive list as the payment one I just showed you prior, because that one includes anything that was canceled or payments that are still pending. This is another spot where you can kind of just cross-reference your numbers. There's also another report for taxes that some inspectors do use. So if I'm in Business Insights and I go to By Inspections, there's a report here called Distance Traveled per Month, and you can click on that and then choose last year and generate your report, but it would show you how many miles you had for each month. And if you need that report, you've got all your figures here.
Hey, Suzie, there was a question about how to run a report to show how much was collected via different payment methods like credit card, Zelle, check, or cash.
That is not a report that is available through these reports, but I will say that it is in the product team's awareness as a future feature request. All right, so I will go on to our payments portal here. So for HomeGauge payments, you will get an official form for your taxes to include that will have the yearly transaction totals as well as your credit card fees that you've incurred but if you're wanting to know this a little bit ahead of time, you can always go to your portal. Under where it says admin, you'll see a section for reports, and I'm in create reports. Then I'll go up here and I'll click the drop down, and the main report that will have that would be the profit and loss statement. And then when it goes to the report date, just choose the drop down. And for this one, you do also have to go in here and fill out the date like so. And then you'll click generate report. So let's see here. If anybody has any questions so far on what we covered. Okay, so we've got Ken. Is there a way to edit the date of a payment? I have one that did not get recorded at the time of payment, but if I do it now, it goes by today's date. So there isn't a way to edit the payment date.
I'll ask a question if I could.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Do you guys have a spot in your reporting systems to add costs of something we would use an outside vendor for so we can get a true list of expenses? Say I charge customer $150 for radon, but I only pay $100 at the end of the year. Is there a report in here that I can print that would show all that data?
No, we don't have anything that tracks that kind of expenses. I wish we did. But this might help you. So this wouldn't have all the fees and the ways to kind of track those amounts, but it might be a way to kind of cross-reference. If you go to Business Insights again, you could go to Revenue per service. This one will give you a report of all the different services you have and a breakdown. So in my fictitious company, I only have a couple services, and I chose, let's see if I do a custom range where I might have a little bit more data to pull from. Okay. Not a ton more, but you'd have a lot more information here. So it would show, mold test, if that's something that you were tracking. It would share how many of those you've done, and then the total that you've charged your client. So that might be helpful.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, tax time. Hopefully this gives you a little motivation to get in there, get your annual revenue numbers and your HomeGauge receipts. All right, folks, I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Thursday and a wonderful weekend that is around the corner.